Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fortress Comic News, episode 343. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my co-host here, Mike. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, nothing much. Just it's November somehow. We're like halfway through November already. Don't know how time is flying so fast, but
Yeah, dude, just talking to people about Christmas.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyways, that's just old people talk. We do have an interview today. Mr. Stuart Kenneth Moore is back. If you lovely people remember MK Ultra Volume 1 and 2. If you pick up Volume 2, Chris and I are on the cover, the back cover, with a nice little quote there. Going to talk about Macbeth with him, and I'm excited. He talked about like he has some history of the story of Macbeth that deals with like witches and stuff like that. So, pretty pumped.
Yeah, for you video listeners, I forgot to change the background, so.
Yeah. Oh, well, sorry. I will say he's like the first interviewee that or guest that like has tweeted before we interview him today and was like, I'm going to talk about this and this, and I was like, oh wow, like I'm getting excited now, like it was a tease for us.
Yeah, I love Stuart. I mean, he's dude, to this day he like posts the episode he was on and talks about it. Like it's dude, good dude, and I look forward to talking to him again.
Really good dude.
Oh, Mike, I just grabbed this bottle and I realized there's a cork in it. Now I'm upset.
Oh man,
I'll just have to wait till Stuart gets here to open it.
Now you just have to stare at the bottle. Sorry, buddy. You just have to wait.
Really looking forward to drinking on air.
This is like a Jedi test of your patience.
Everybody might see in the second half of this that I just have a cork for a screw for some reason.
Yeah, well, how did that appear? Yeah, not a whole lot as far as news goes. I don't know where we got the live action Avatar trailer.
Well, actually, real quick before we jump into that.
Yeah.
Part of the reason there's not a ton of news in the top half of this.
Yeah.
Is we were talking about the strikes for a little bit, and then I think we both got bored of it.
Yes. The strikes are over.
And it's on our end, it's like the strike delayed another thing. It's like, okay, like, I mean, whatever. Yeah, they're over now. Like,
they're over,
apparently.
Everybody. Yeah.
So people are going back to work and things are gonna start happening. So I'm hoping in the coming months, like things are gonna get more eventful for us.
Yeah, but, and I already see like James Gunn's committed to July 2025 for Superman Legacy and things like that's still holding up, and yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and I'll say too, because I'm sure people are wondering, or are gonna wonder, but I didn't see the Marvels this weekend. I didn't have time, so
that came out, and I was like, the Marvels. That sounds like a Marvel movie. And then I saw the picture of the three of them, and I was like, oh yeah, that is a Marvel movie.
Yeah. I'll probably go next weekend, but I just didn't have time this weekend.
It got good reviews, right? I think.
No.
Oh, didn't?
No.
All right then, folks. All right.
Mike, I'm pot committed. Like at this point.
Yeah. You're not turning back now.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Marvel did it the right way. They led with their bangers, and now they're at the bottom of the barrel, where it's like DC started off with the bottom. It's trying to get their way to try to drag themselves to the top.
Yeah, you got to get me committed, and then you can pull out the garbage.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen this one yet, so yeah. I mean, listen, a lot of the recent Marvel movies haven't gotten good reviews, and like I liked Ant-Man. It's not amazing, but
yeah,
I got to see Modoc's ass cheeks, so that was great. And Black Panther was awesome. So like
Black Panther's good. Yeah,
there's been good Marvel stuff. It's just critics aren't digging it anymore.
Yeah, and I do think that, I mean, speeding up the delivery of the movies, the quality has to go down at some point. So,
well, I was reading that the Deadpool 3 is currently the only Marvel movie set for next year. And even though like I'm not a Deadpool fan, I'm really excited that there's only one Marvel movie for next year.
Yeah, that is kind of nice.
Yeah, like I feel like giving me like 4 in a year was getting to be a little much. I mean, I was still going, don't get me wrong, but it was like there wasn't the anticipation anymore.
Yeah. and now they still got the TV shows too. So
yeah. But go ahead, talk about your cartoon adaptation.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you got yours this year with Ahsoka. Avatar: The Last Airbender is an absolutely phenomenal show. And we got the live action trailer, which Netflix is doing, so hopefully they don't fuck it up with, canceling after one season. But all I can say is it looks good. The casting looks really good. And the only thing that worries me in the trailer is that Aang is supposed to be like a young childhood, like adolescent, like, oh, I'm having fun with all these dangerous things and using my powers. Like, I'm very ignorant to all how dangerous the world is, wrapped in ice. I hope they don't make him too serious, because like there's parts where he's like flying with Appa. Appa looks amazing, the flying bison. So like that straight out of the cartoon.
I think you mean the movie.
The movie, yeah. Oh, you mean, sorry, straight out of Neverending Story? Yes. Yeah, I mean, and Uncle Iroh, all the casting looks amazing. The using like we've seen a little bit of the powers and how they do like the bending. So already it's better than if they ever made a live action movie, which I don't think that ever was done. To my knowledge, never happened. So this is, yeah, we're getting some good stuff. And I was really happy with how they handled One Piece. So I think this is another show of that caliber, or even bigger than One Piece, that they're moving forward with. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, never watched Avatar. Just never did. Have nothing against it. That trailer looked good.
Yeah,
but like I have no basis to go off of with it. So
no, it's cool. And there's a lot more to it. Like each nation, the fire, the water, earth, wind, or there isn't a wind nation, but their move sets are based on different martial art styles. Like the Fire Nation is Kung Fu. I believe the Earth, I think Earth is like Tai Chi, or water is Tai Chi, but something like that. But they're all different styles, which is really cool, the way they picked them. Yeah, I'm excited. Really good story.
Cool.
Invincible season 2, episode 2, Chris. I watched it.
I did not.
Okay. So I'll just say this. There's a lot happening in this episode. We're seeing like where Mark's at, where Eve is at, where Mark's mom is at, where the Guardians of the Globe, the new Guardians of the Globe, are at. And then we see where Angstrom Levy is at, what he's doing. I would say it's like a wrap-up episode where he's like atoning for a lot of the things that his father did. So he's trying to like make up for that shit. Also trying to become a superhero again. Eve is dealing with some stuff with her parents. His mom's dealing with like her own stuff, like going through grief and Mark not being around. So there's a lot of things happening, which I think are important to the story to move it along. It's just like they're trying to touch on all these things in one episode. So it's, there's a lot of like moving parts, but it's still good. I mean, we get to see Atlantis pretty much, which you'll be excited for. So
I saw like the first half of the first episode, and it seemed good, other than the like Mark being an angsty teen stuff. But
yeah, of course.
Yeah. Dude, the last on Invincible, the last volume of the compendium comes out this week.
Oh wow.
So I might sit down and read all of Invincible again here in the near future, because I was waiting to get all 3, and then I was just going to read them.
Yeah, my project in this winter is going to be going through and organizing some comics, and I pretty much have almost the full run minus a couple issues, so I'll just sit down and like flip through some issues while I'm doing it. And then before I know it, none of my comics are organized, and I just have a bunch of Invincible issues out. That's how it starts, folks.
Just reading through Invincible again.
Yeah, that's how it starts. Loki season 2 finale already. What do you got for me there?
So I guess it's tough to talk about this without spoilers. So
That's
spoiler alert, everybody. Yeah. But to start, so season 2 of Loki is. I know I talk a lot about how much I like the MCU and the Marvel stuff, and I have fun with it. And it's like I don't I hope I don't get people's expectations too high and say like these are amazing movies or shows or something. I enjoy them and I have fun with them, even with their flaws. Ant-Man being a big example that I always bring up.
Mm-hmm.
This season of Loki is top tier Marvel, like amazing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this final episode showcases it. So it's like we talked about the time slipping in the last episode and how he learned to control it. And while I felt that episode was kind of fillery, this episode really makes that episode look better and compare, like in retrospect, because it gets us to this point where he can control it. And it's basically a Groundhog's Day episode for the first half where he's going back and trying to complete the mission from 2 or 3 episodes ago.
Okay.
And save everybody. And when he finally does it and is able to do it, he realizes that it's still just there's nothing that he can do. Even though they completed it and they were successful, they still fail. So he has to go all the way back to the ending of season 1 at the end of time to try to save Kang, and is brought to this decision where he either can let Sylvie kill it's the man at the end of time, but it's Kang. Sylvie can either kill Kang or he can kill Sylvie. And because he is given this binary choice of like either she kills me and that destroys all of time eventually, or you save me and I can be the man to watch over and we can protect the sacred timeline.
Right.
And through all this, Loki chooses option 3, which is to still go forward, but instead of going through with the plan that they had, he goes in and just destroys the time weave and lets loose all of the branches of time. So now everything is chaos. So instead of there being a sacred timeline where everything is moving forward, flowing, and there's branches coming off of it, now it's just complete and utter chaos. It's a multiverse. So this is the first time where we truly have a multiverse in the MCU. And they name drop like 616 in it and all this stuff.
Nice.
And the ending's so beautiful because it goes all the way back around to the original 2 Thor movies.
Oh,
where
cool.
Loki's going out and he's like, he does this and he tells them, like, literally there's videos on Instagram and YouTube and everything. I don't have TikTok, I'm sorry, but I'm sure they're on TikTok too, comparing the 2 lines where he literally turns around and says the exact line where he's like, I know what kind of God I want to be, and I'm doing this for everybody, blah, blah. And he ends up weaving time around him and sitting on the throne at the center of all of it. And when it zooms out, it's fucking beautiful, Mike. When it zooms out, it makes the world tree. So Loki is sitting at the center of the world tree, and that's his position now.
Interesting.
It was so beautiful. And then there's kind of a post after that, but that's really where everything ends.
Yeah.
And they show the TVA and what Owen Wilson's going to do moving forward and everything. And like they also drop a hint of what happened in Ant-Man Quantumanium, because they're like, oh, there was this Kang variant, because that's what the TVA's kind of brought to at this point, is like, we need to deal with these Kang variants that we know are going to bring war, a secret war.
Whoa.
And they're like, yeah, something happened on 616, which is the MCU in this version. And but they took care of it. It's fine. And then they kind of move on from it. I was like, that's Ant-Man.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's an awesome episode. And it seems like Hiddleston's been hinting pretty heavily on now that he can do press circuits because all the strikes are over, that this is Loki's conclusion. This is where he ends. I'm sure they'll get him to come back for like,
oh yeah, he's
Secret Wars or something,
yeah,
but I don't expect a season 3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect him to be a major part in anything. He'll probably be a cameo in like one of the 2 Avengers movies. But yeah, it's tough because you're a lapsed Marvel fan. I don't think this is going to bring you back in, but this is another one of those moments where I talk about continuity story arcs and storytelling. And this is why I love continuity-based storytelling, because this only happens because of 14 years of Tom Hiddleston being Loki.
Yeah, it's a long time.
And it's great. Yeah, so
cool.
absolutely awesome. Love this season. It's some of the best Marvel stuff.
I watched, I think, first 2 or 3 episodes, but it's really good. It's really good. And what's his name? Key is just so good.
Yeah.
From a short round. His character is amazing.
He's great throughout
it. The part where they're like talking to him in the future and the past was so great.
Yeah.
He's like, I just talked to you. He's like, wait. He's like, I've never seen you before. He's like, wait a second. Or he's like, I need to build this thing. Oh wait, I have built it. That's so funny.
I look forward to you getting episode 5, the one that I was kind of iffy at the time.
Yeah.
Because his part in it is the best part, where he's like this weird guy who's trying to be a sci-fi writer and everything. But
he and like the comic book science of it is like, he's like, well, how did I know that? He's like, because Loki must be talking to you in the past. He's like, wow, you're right. There's nothing wrong with that logic at all.
Exactly.
It's
just,
like,
we're good.
Yeah, we're just gonna go with it.
That's some of the stuff that like they do and they've done in the past. Like I always go back to Endgame, where they start talking about time travel.
Yeah.
And they almost literally say like, so like Back to the Future, and like, yeah, Back to the Future. Okay.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I'm just like, that was simple, and now I understand the rules.
Yeah, right. You don't need to like set all these boundaries up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. No, I really enjoy it, so I can't wait to get to the season finale. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then 6 episodes is really good. Like, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's short and done really well. So
cool.
Yeah.
Comic news. Speaking of comics, here we go. Nobody asked for it, but we're getting it anyways. Marvel's bringing back a 90s character for a new miniseries. Night Thrasher is returning from writer Jay Holtham and artist Nelson Daniel this February. This will be his first solo series in over 30 years.
You sound excited, Mike.
I have no idea. He looks like oh man, who's that? Midnighter. I have no idea who Night Thrasher is. It looks very 90s, this cover for sure. It looks like he just beats on people with his batons. I don't even think those are swords, right? Those are batons.
Yeah. I have very, very little knowledge of Night Thrasher, but I'm pretty sure you got it right, because it's a 90s character, so there's probably not much to it.
Yeah, there's probably no depth to this guy.
I can say without hesitation, like, don't really care.
Yeah. I don't get this at all. Very strange for Marvel to just jump in with this. Maybe it's gonna be the best series of the year. I don't know.
They must be finding success. I mean, I think the 90s are far enough away and there's people like Donnie Cates who grew up on 90s comics, and now that's nostalgic enough where they can go back, because even like some of these miniseries they're doing that are like past miniseries, like returning to them, are 90s books, like the new Fantastic Four they brought back.
Right.
One that I'm actually excited for, the Daredevil Black Armor, they're bringing back. So
this, I don't know. Look at that knee pad.
Yeah, the Venom book is based on the 90s continuity. So like,
yeah,
it must be doing good, or else they wouldn't be doing it, right?
Right. He almost looks like Judge Dredd. That's what he looks like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Marvel, you want to bring back a 90s character? Fool Killer.
Yeah, Fool Killer. Fool Killer is interesting. Night Thrasher, not so much.
We are in a world where somebody needs to kill some fools.
Yeah, fools need to die. This guy's going to thrash the night. So, Marvel announced another What If title coming this February. The new series will be 5 issues titled What If Venom. It'll be written by Jeremy Holt, artist Jesus Hervas. Hervas will show different Marvel characters being the first people to meet the Venom symbiote. The series will feature characters like She-Hulk, Wolverine, Doctor Strange, Loki, and Moon Knight. That is a really cool cover. Very cool cover.
I love that cover.
Yeah, so we have like a shattered puzzle piece of each of those mentioned characters and like a Venom version, like, yeah, that sounds sick. And that Loki Venom looks amazing.
Yeah. Always a big fan of What If books. We'll always pick up a What If book. Kind of wish we would get away from What If Venom. I feel like we've done it a lot recently. But fuck it. If this is what they're going to give me for What If, and one of them is Moon Knight, so of course I'm in for that. I'll check this out, even if I'm a little hesitant. That I'm kind of like, okay, we've done Venom kind of to death a little bit. I think we can move forward, but hell, let's do it. What if?
What if? This is pretty exciting. Marvel announced another return to the publisher, but once again for reprints only. They will be publishing an omnibus of the original Marvel Godzilla comics. Yeah, that's a pretty awful cover, but the next couple are they like the original ones. That red one is infamous for the first appearance.
This first cover is terrible.
Yeah,
I apologize to the artist, but
that does not even look like Godzilla.
No, but to be fair, neither does this.
Yeah, but that's like the now that's the classic one. There's a lot to unpack in that cover too, because he's like, he caught a plane, he grabbed a bridge, and like there just happens to be like two planes flying by him at the same time. There's just so much happening.
Yeah, I will not be picking this up. It's next year. I mean, I try to keep my omnibus spending very low.
Yeah.
And this year it was very high with Invincible. I know they call them compendiums. They're omnibuses. I don't care what people say. And then next year we jump into ROM.
Right.
So I just can't justify adding another one to my list, but it's really cool that they're doing this. But when I do it, I try to get a cover. I would buy this cover or the next one I'm going to show in a minute, because I like the classic cover on the omnibus.
Yeah.
So like the Planet of the Apes one I have is the classic Adventures in the Planet of the Apes cover.
So they've changed this cover. Because I was like, that doesn't look like that one. That one's really cool.
This one I like more, just because there's another monster involved.
I'd probably get that one. The original #1 cover, the red one, is supposed to say Godzilla King of the Monsters, or it says the original Marvel years. So I wonder if they can't call him King of the Monsters for some reason.
I think that's the original Marvel years is a banner that Marvel's used.
Okay.
So when you open this book, I will almost guarantee it. If you buy it, when you open the book and you get to the cover, like the issue covers, it'll be Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Yep.
Because the Planet of the Apes one that I have is Planet of the Apes, the original Marvel years. And I believe the Star Wars one that they did was Star Wars, the original Marvel years too. Okay. That's just kind of the banner they use to and same with Conan.
Yeah.
That these to signify what it is. Especially with so much Godzilla comics out there. I mean, IDW has been pumping them out. So, yeah, that's probably the only reason. Because is the lettering the same for Godzilla?
Yeah, that's all the same.
Yeah.
I do miss the little thing in the top left corner, though. Well, like the numbering and stuff. Like the little stamp you always get in the top left.
Yeah.
But October, what is it? Oh, yeah, it's not coming out until October 2024. Damn.
So quite a whiles away.
Yeah.
Does this intrigue you enough that you might buy it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because like these issues aren't easy to find because like nobody bought these issues back in the day. I've always wanted the #1, but haven't spent the money on it. So like I'll probably get the omnibus just so I can read them all. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
If it's not a ridiculous amount of money.
It's I think it's 24 issues, so it's a big book.
Yeah, it is a big book.
My money's on $100, 120 max.
Yeah.
That's why I say I keep my omnibus spending to a minimum.
Yeah. True.
Let's see. I know I had the press release from Marvel when I was doing the show notes. It's so funny to me too that Toho is like celebrating the 69th anniversary. It's so goddamn funny.
They know it's funny too. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're
It
great.
doesn't say in the press release. It just it says on sale October next year. What's funny here though, as I was reading it though, Doug Monch, the writer, same guy that did the Planet of the Apes books.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Does not say. I would plan on somewhere between 100 and 125.
Yeah.
If you're thinking of buying this out there.
Which I am. Dark Horse announced a new series from writer Tom King and artist Bilquis Eppley. The team behind Supergirl will know tomorrow. The series will be gothic sword and sorcery comic that is said to combine Conan and the Wizard of Oz. It will be titled Helen of Windhorn and is set to release February of 2024. Looks interesting. Don't know how I feel about Conan and the Wizard of Oz. You could just say it's a fantasy book.
You got to do it, Mike.
Yeah, they always have to try to pull that shit. I'll probably check the first issue out. I like the art. I think it's interesting.
I'll check it out.
I'm a fantasy nerd, so yeah, why not?
I like Conan. Wizard of Oz is okay.
Yeah.
I like Conan though. I'm always my guard's always on when it comes to Tom King because like
Yeah, it's like
everything sounds interesting and then I just don't like it.
Yeah, then you got to read 6 issues to get something going.
Nah, he's at the point with me. One issue. If you can't get me in that first issue,
yeah,
I'm done.
Especially for this, I've never seen him write fantasy, so we'll see how he does with this first issue here.
It'll be interesting because I can't name another Tom King independent book that I've read. I know he did that Love Everlasting, but like,
never read
I'm sorry,
it.
people. I'm not getting into a romance comic.
The Supergirl book was good, but
yeah, I mean that's what people say. If I'm going to go into another DC Tom King book at this point, it's Human Target.
Yeah, that one's good.
So let's just see how I feel about that before we're recommending some Supergirl stuff.
Yeah, we'll see how you like Human Target, which I think you will like.
Yeah, but yeah, this I'll check it out. It sounds interesting. I do like the artist.
Yeah,
like this cover is really cool, and I think this artwork fits a fantasy vibe much better than a superhero thing.
Mm-hmm.
So cool stuff.
Vault's new series, Deathstalker, is fully funded on a Kickstarter, and the campaign is over. But for those who don't know, it's Vault's new fantasy series that was written by Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash. It was announced as part of the campaign they're doing a one-shot add-on written by Michael Moreschi, Tim Seeley, and Nathan Gooden called Barbaric versus Deathstalker. There was no official word if the one-shot would come to local comic shops, but it seems obvious that we'll get it sometime next year. Interesting that we don't have a book out for this Deathstalker, and but we're getting a crossover with Barbaric.
Yeah, I mean, I know we didn't talk about it because I usually don't like to promote corporate Kickstarters.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vault's doing this Kickstarter for it. It did like 50K. So
yeah,
it blew up. I'm sure that this Deathstalker book will be out next year. I think it's just an OGN, so I don't know if it's going to come out in issues or not. I don't know. Like I like Slash enough as a guitarist. I don't know if I want to read the comic that he created, but I almost did this Kickstarter just because I wanted this one shot.
Yeah.
like, especially if Moressi's involved, like, give me all the Barbaric you can send. So I think it'd be stupid for them not to do it in the direct market. So I can't imagine we don't see it next year in the direct market.
There's a movie called Deathstalker, an old sword and sorcery movie. I wonder, it has to be the same thing, right? Like,
I didn't look that far. I
from
thought
1983.
I thought the premise for Deathstalker was kind of eh.
Yeah, it looks like the same dude. It's like a sword and sorcery. Oh my god, there's 4 movies. Deathstalker and the Warriors from Hell. Deathstalker 2, Deathstalker 3, March of the Titans. All of them are just like this dude on the cover with a bunch of like warrior women in bikinis.
Well, let's see what the ultimate source Wikipedia has to say. Oh, that's a Sorry, I just clicked on one for Scorpion. That's called the Deathstalker. Never mind.
Yeah, these movies look real bad. They're like
From
really
the
cheesy.
80s. See, I think they're separate because when you go to the Kickstarter page, it even is titled / presents Deathstalker.
It's weird.
Reserve your edition of this epic sword and sorcery. Oh, maybe it is set in the cult classic universe of Deathstalker. So
yeah, because I'm looking at the title is the same exact font and lettering as so it is the same character. Interesting. I didn't even know these movies existed, and there's like 4 of them.
And there's a picture of the movie right there. Yeah, I just straight from number one. When it comes to corporate Kickstarters, I tend to stay away from them and wait for direct market stuff.
Yeah,
and I don't know. / wasn't enough for me to jump in.
I feel like I have to watch one of these movies. The first one's only an hour and 20 minutes long. It's probably so bad. That's probably really bad.
We should just do a review podcast on Deathstalker.
Yeah, I can't believe this is the first time I've heard of this 80s movie. Like, what? Huh. Interesting. I mean, I love me some Barbaric, so I wish I could read this one shot, but
yeah, at this point with Barbaric, like if Moressi's writing, you can be Barbaric versus My Little Pony, and I'm fucking
I'm gonna buy it. Yeah. We got to get Moressi on the show. I'd love to talk to that guy, man.
Didn't we have him on once?
No, I don't think so. Maybe.
I thought we did.
We'll have to go back and check.
But I would love to chat with him again because he's written some stuff I really like. He did that Wasted Space book.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Moresi.
Yeah.
What else did he do? He's done some Stranger Things stuff. He wrote Archie Meets Batman 66.
Yeah. That's what I want to talk to him about. You get him on the show. Hey, we want to talk to you about a book. Yeah, you want to talk about Barbaric? No. I want to talk about 60s Batman.
Let's talk some Archie.
Talk Archie and 60s Batman.
Yeah, Wasted Space he did. He did some Star Wars stuff.
Good for him. He's got a brand with Barbaric, dude. That's just like that's probably one of the I think that's one of the best original comics to come out over the last couple of years. For sure.
Barbaric is it's been like a very meteoric rise with that book because it just came out of nowhere.
Right.
And I thought it looked interesting. So I was like, oh, a Barbarian book. I'll check it out. And I couldn't believe how much I loved it.
Yeah.
Maybe we haven't. I can't find.
I don't think we ever I feel like I remember talking to him.
I thought we did when Wasted Space came out because I remember really enjoying that book. Oh, yeah. And he wrote Mighty Barbarians that I really liked.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get him on.
Well, I have my marching orders from the boss, Mike.
There you go. That's it. Get him on. All right. With that, folks, let's talk about what we read this week, Chris. I caught up on Masquerade because that finished up.
Oh, yeah.
Weird ending to like end things, but not end things. Where they're like, Masquerade died. Just kidding. Might end up being to fight more crime.
Just kidding. We sold too many comics, so we need to make Masquerade too.
What? No, I liked the series. I thought it was cool. You know, it's a Kevin Smith book for sure.
It was. I couldn't remember if I talked about it at the time, but because I finished it a while ago, and it's a good book. But I don't know if he comes back with Masquerade 2. I don't know if I'm gonna.
I don't need another series. Well,
yeah,
like, I wasn't that interested.
I thought it was a little bit long. Like they could have cut it down a couple issues because it was 8 issues, right?
Yeah, it could have been like 4 to 6 for sure.
It could have been 6 very easily, and been much better for it. But yeah, the premise is interesting, but I just don't know how you do that twice.
No, yeah, I don't know either.
She's very much a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Army of Darkness Forever, number 2. This is Tony Fleecs and Greenwood in the art. So, dude, this is probably one of my favorite Army of Darkness books. There's a lot of cool. So there's like 3 timelines happening in the story. There's the timeline that is happening in the Middle Ages after he leaves. There's the current time where he's working at S-Smart, Shop S-Smart.
Shop Smart.
Shop Smart.
S-Smart.
S-Smart. And then there's a third one where he went to sleep in the cave in the Middle Ages, and then he wakes up way too far into the future, in like, you know, the far future where he's like fighting a robot. So yeah, he like wakes up and fights like a robot thing. But so there's all these things, there's parts of the stories happening at the same time. And the S smart one is like he has to clean up in a bathroom, like because someone like shit all over the bathroom in the store, and this like old guy comes in and says he has to like take a dump, and it ends up being like a deadite. So like the issue ends with like, oh god, what are you doing? And it's like a deadite, I think, like shitting everywhere all over the bathroom or something, or at least getting blood everywhere. It's a lot of fun. I think it's really cool. It picks up right after the movie Army of Darkness, so nobody will be confused if you read it. It's just a good time. So really enjoying it. Radiant Black 26 and then 26.5 I read because they're pretty much the same issue. I would say the first half of 26.5 and 26 are almost like word for word the same book. Because we know that like both those issues are Radiant Black taking up the mantle of Marshall or Nathan taking it over. Mm-hmm. Did you read 26.5 or no?
No.
Okay, so what I'll say is this. The first halves of the book are the same, which is very annoying to me. But they have like a first initial test with this Radiant War that he has to fight this alien, and how does he handle fighting it? So like so the first test is with Nathan, and what he does is he cares more about the people like that are trapped in the freeway. He teleports them away. He beats the aliens not as efficiently or easily as you would think. The next issue is like the guy defeats the aliens like instantly because he's really good at fighting and like manipulating his environment. But then you see like where all the people are waiting on the freeway is just a wasteland. So he didn't care about the casualties at all. So like and I could see where like they're like, okay, you guys vote for it now, because like part of me is like, damn, Marshall as Radiant Black is really cool because he does a lot of cool science shit with his powers, like manipulates the environment. I'm like, that was a way cooler way to handle the aliens. But the first one was like, oh man, that like he isn't as efficient as fighting the aliens off, but he saved the entire city, which is like, that's the superhero you want, and he still beat the aliens. So like you can see the two sides of it. It's just like the first like few pages is like the same exact dialogue, and like that's kind of annoying, but it is an interesting take. You probably could have kept both stories in one issue, is what I'm saying. It just seems like a cash grab
just on a double issue.
Yeah, like not even 48 pages, because like it is like a handful of the pages are the same. So like you could have spoke to it and then been like, okay, if this is your path or this is your path, and then like read both. So like it didn't need to be two separate issues in my eyes, but still it's an interesting approach. I still like the series a lot, and I think I would be okay with either of them taking the mantle. But I would say we really haven't seen it. I think the problem is we haven't seen it divide so much up until now to be like up until now, I honestly hadn't cared who takes the mantle. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's like whatever. Nathan had his chance. He was in a coma. Marshall takes over, that kind of thing. But there wasn't really a whole divide for me between the two characters.
I mean, I haven't read it yet, so take that for what it is. But like,
yeah.
I was like kind of rooting for Nathan because I liked the premise of like this guy who tried to be a writer.
Yeah.
And basically failed, is in all this debt trying to figure shit out, and then this happens, and they started to like get back into that in some of the more recent issues.
Yep.
When I was catching up, and I was like, yeah, like that's what originally got me in this book, is like there's this thing there's this story arc that like no one else is doing about this guy who's kind of like, you know, in up to his ears in debt and trying to figure shit out, and then also so that's why I was rooting for him, where the other guy just felt like, I don't know, kind of like most other superhero, especially independent superhero books. But
yeah, no, I get that.
Well, other than that, yeah, they were basically the same in terms of the Radiant Black themselves.
Yep. I read Guardians of the Galaxy 7 and 8. I'm all caught up there because 8 just came out right this week.
Yeah, it's on my pile.
Yeah, so like Groot has absorbed everybody, and the Guardians are working on bringing everybody back because like this is a natural process that Groot is like going through as a plant life. It's all very Swamp Thing-esque, which isn't bad. Like, you know what I mean? It's more of he's like in touch with the green, which is cool. Spartax
Space Green.
Yeah, Space Green, which is even cooler. Spartax doesn't want them to be left alone and wants to intervene. So this like princess or queen shows up. The Groot Guardians have this fight that's with a race that was actually created to pollinate and like wait for Groot. So like that was an interesting interaction and fight with them. Like they're fighting them. They're like, oh wait, these guys aren't the enemy. We're supposed to like help them come along. But then obviously at the end, Spartax shows up and is like, okay, you guys should not be left alone to do whatever you want. We need to destroy Groot. So interesting stuff. And then I'm almost done with the Joker manga. That's really good. It's really funny. Of Joker,
the first volume?
Yeah, Joker raising baby Batman. So that was great. And then I'm caught up on the new Creepshow series. So Creepshow's issues 2 and 3. So we had a couple. Every Creepshow issue is a different 2 writers and artists. So the first issue 2 is Michael Walsh, Dan Waters, and Abigail Larson on the art. The third issue is Zoe Thorgood, Joel Fairley, and Goran Sudzuka. Shout out to Zoe Thorgood because up until like a year ago, she was doing an independent book from the UK. And I think it's called like The Girl at the Center of the World or Center of the something. It's like a coming of age book or like a slice of life book that she's got a lot of praise for. She's super talented, very new in the industry. So when I saw her name on this book from published by Image or Dark Horse, I was like, oh damn, good for her. And her story was really cool. Her story, so like I don't need to talk about all the Creepshow. It's like a horror anthology, but her story specifically was like this woman who developed this serum to live forever, and she basically lives until the end of the universe and becomes like stardust. And she's like, okay, maybe I can finally die now that like the world is dying, because all she wants to do is die and she can't. And like she's like becomes stardust, but she's like, oh, at least now like I'll be able to like move on, and she can't still, which is like terrifying. So she's just like one with the universe, and it's like she's still like, you know, all knowing and shit. And she's like, she see, you know, lovers die, relatives, kids die, because she's like, she doesn't age. But yeah, it's really interesting stories. Some really creepy stuff. But I love the Creepshow series. So, and I actually went out of my way to buy the physical issues because I'm a sucker for that old school horror style book where it's like the big red title, you know, and like the zombie on the front where it's like Creepshow, you know how they like old school tales, like tales of horror used to look. So
yeah.
I love that shit. So I bought some individual issues too.
Dude, I think what would be interesting, like that sounds like a cool story. What would be interesting is the sequel to that, where like you're at the end of the universe and then it all just resets.
Yeah, everything
and
comes
she's
back.
The catalyst to like start the new universe. So she is now God.
Yeah, well that's kind of how the story goes. Like people realize that she's the only one left in the world that's been there, and like they almost start worshiping her as their god, and then everybody dies from like a plague, and she's like, well, fuck. So what do
I think it'd be interesting to do the story of like after all that, and she resets, creates the universe, and she is like the biblical God.
Yeah.
But she's like, well, I have all this knowledge. I lived through the end of the universe. Like, how do I do humanity better? And all. Yeah.
No,
somebody can steal that. Please do.
Yeah.
Because I'll read the fuck out of it.
And I love the Creepshow things because like the dude at the front of it's like the Tales of the Crypt guy is like, oh, this is why you don't do this, you know? And,
yeah. Dude, classic.
Yeah, love that shit. So that's what I read. I still have Big Game on my list, Chris. Have not gotten to it yet.
Son of a bitch.
But I will.
Last issue comes out next week, Mike.
All right, I'll try to catch up this week.
Very sad that you didn't read Batman 139.
I know, that one's on my list too, yes. I have it right here.
So we're out of the Gotham War stuff and back into a solo Batman thing. So I'm back to reading Batman.
Oh, we're out of Gotham War?
We're out of it. It's done.
That's why I didn't read the issue yet, because I thought it was just going to be a Gotham War thing. All right.
So I think you're really going to like this issue.
Okay.
We get Batman in the first part of it playing detective.
Nice.
And him going to a crime scene and dissecting everything that's going on and everything, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out that Joker is the big bad. Like, he's the one behind everything, which immediately I was like groaning about. I knew it was coming, but like I groaned. And then we get to the end and he sold me on a new Joker story.
Okay.
Let's just say everything he was doing prior to Night Terrors comes into play here. So Zernar's back.
Oh.
And all this stuff. And Joker just drags Zernar out of Batman. It's just like, I want to play with the real Batman.
Nice.
And it immediately was just it's awesome. This is why I love Chip Zdarsky's Batman. This is what I want. I'm so glad it's back.
Awesome. I can't wait to read it now.
Yeah, like, it's really good. And there's a backup story about Vandal Savage.
Oh, cool.
I read kind of the synopsis of what happened in Gotham Wars.
Yeah.
And apparently Vandal Savage plays like a big part in that.
Okay.
So part of me might go back and read it one day, but it was too close to Night Terrors. Yeah. But he had something to do, and now he is stuck in Gotham. Okay. So he's trying to make a home in Gotham. And that's what the backstory is all about, is him. He had to like get the energy from the meteorite again to like recharge his life energy.
Yeah.
And that left him inside of Gotham. Somehow that involves Catwoman and everything. I don't know. I didn't read the event, so
we don't need to know that much.
Yeah.
We don't need to know why she's involved.
But while he's in Gotham, he's like, I'm going to make this home. And he starts like kind of fighting crime in Gotham, but doing it the Vandal Savage way,
killing people.
And even at the same time, he's just like, Batman's useless and all this stuff. So this is definitely setting up Vandal Savage to be something in the future for Batman, which is really interesting.
Cool.
Just great issue.
Nice.
Shazam number 5, another one I'm disappointed to read.
Yep.
It was the conclusion to the whole Moon thing. A bunch of like twists and turns, a big battle scene. Mary Marvel saves Billy, and she kind of figures out what's going on. She's like, dude, you haven't been right for a while, and I think the gods are fucking with you. And the gods get all mad because Mary figures out their plan the whole time. And the B story to that is that the different family members go to the Rock of Eternity with the dinosaur. Yeah. And they're trying to like figure out what's going on. So there's like this kind of B story. It doesn't lead anywhere, but I just love seeing that dinosaur with the monocle and top hat.
He's just awesome. Love that guy.
And then at the end, Billy goes to the gods and basically gives them an ultimatum saying like, listen, either you stop fucking with me or I just won't be Shazam anymore.
Right.
And they're all kind of stunned and what do we do and all that. And that's when another character pops up and says, well, fuck it, I'll be Shazam for you. And it kind of turns everything on its head. So it's a very interesting twist at the end that when you get to it, I think you'll really appreciate.
Cool.
But yeah, Shazam's been so good.
Mark Waid, baby.
Thanos, Return of the Mad Titan #1. So Thanos comes to Earth. He finds this city and like, as if he was fucking Brainiac, just like pulls it out of the earth. And
that's funny.
He wants a certain person who is obviously connected to him in some way. And the Illuminati shows up to save her and like figure things out and inform her like, you've kind of been memory wiped, so that's why you don't know what's going on, but you're really important, so we got to do something. And that's kind of the end of the issue. The first half of the issue is like, I was really confused reading it because it's just this girl in her like early 20s, and she's living her life. And I literally was reading it on break at work, and I'm just like, I don't want to read about my life.
Yeah.
Because it's just a girl going to work and like then going home to an empty apartment, and like I'm like, this is depressing, and I want to see Thanos punch somebody.
Yeah, what the hell?
So I hope he steps it up in the next issue. It just not a ton happened other than Thanos is playing Brainiac and the Illuminati are there for some reason. So not a great intro. G.O.D.S #2 from Hickman. Really, really good. Kind of similar, but done really well in that it's about this girl who's going to college, and she's one of these like perfectionists, has to get A on everything, doesn't go out to the parties, all that, because she feels blah, blah, blah. When one of the people from this science organization that studies magic finds her, it's just like, you have magical abilities inside of you. You just haven't learned to harness them yet. And we want you to come work for us so that we can help guide the way while studying your progress. And that's kind of the whole back and forth throughout the issue. And I like, it may not sound super interesting, but after the first issue and seeing like this alternate god that they created, and the woman in this story is the ex-wife of that god. So it does lead directly out of the last issue. And what they created there in this like kind of alternate corner of the Marvel universe, and then this expanding on it and showing this other character who's basically an avatar for the reader to be like, look at this cool facility where science and magic meet inside this world, and her decision in the end. So yeah, G.O.D.S is really good. I really, really enjoyed it.
Cool.
I want to save this one for last. So we're going to jump over to a Kickstarter book called Horus in Hell.
Nice.
It's about a pink bunny from hell.
That's awesome. The cover's really cool.
I love this cover. Yeah. And he gets dragged out of hell through a portal. And as he gets dragged out, he declares that he's going to serve this person that's saving him from his damnation and all that. And what you find out is it was a magician on stage pulling a rabbit out of the hat.
Oh.
So now he's got to serve this person. And the guy's kind of like a deadbeat. He's drunk all the time and doesn't do much, but this rabbit is supposed to help him. And in that, he finds out that the guy found out how to recreate that portal. So now he's just pulling random things out of hell, which is fucking with Earth. So he has to go back to hell to find his brother, who is like a leader of basically a leader of a gang down there.
Okay.
Like a war gang, and get his help to try to stop the magician and get all of the different creatures that have escaped and bring them back to hell. So it was a really cool first issue. It's a fun premise, and it's a very quick, simple read, but I did enjoy it. So I'll be interested to see if they do more of it.
Yeah, sounds cool.
And then my last is Punisher #1 from David Pose.
Oh, nice.
By far my favorite thing David's done at Marvel. And that's saying a lot because I'm not a Punisher guy. It is everything he said. It feels very like, as someone who's only watched the first John Wick movie, it feels very John Wick in that movie, where we get kind of these detectives coming and finding out something happened to this house. It blew up. Some kids died. A woman died. What happened here? And then throughout the issue, we go back to them as they're looking over the scene, and we get the Punisher, the new Punisher, going to these different gangland hangouts and just wiping people out, trying to find this certain person who he believes killed his family.
Interesting.
And all of the artist for this, which is Dave Watcher, does a phenomenal job of doing really cool action sequences that once again feel very John Wick, and that he's kind of jumping around and shooting people and like doing cool gun tricks with it. And then we get to the end where he meets up with, so he ends up fighting Hyde, and he kills his first supervillain.
Mm-hmm.
And then he finds the man who he thinks killed his or who did kill his family. And it's this moment where he's standing, and they're in the subway, and the train's going by,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy's holding a hostage, and it's just like, you just gotta let me go, go, or I'll kill her, and then her blood's on your hands, and blah blah. And he sits there and he thinks and he breathes and he shoots a bullet through 2 cabins of the train, hits him square in the eye, and I was like, that was awesome.
That's awesome.
Like,
that's really cool.
And comes to the conclusion at that point, like, well, I said I would never go back, but like, my job here isn't done, so is moving forward with
it's like John Wick. I'm thinking
Punisher.
I'm back.
Yeah. It's very John Wick.
Okay, I gotta read it now.
And then the B story is the detectives kind of figuring out what's going on. We find out that like he's wanted by because when the family dies and the husband's nowhere to be found, the first suspect's always the husband. So now like the police want to find him. And at the same time, like everybody's discovering there's this new Punisher, but nobody knows who he is because he's like a secret ops or ex-secret ops operative. Yeah, very, very cool issue.
Cool.
I really highly recommend it to people.
Nice. I got to check it out now.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be interested to see how you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Mike, that was everything I had this week. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you, Andrew, the show?
Find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter and at chriscomicscorner.substack.com. And you can find the show at fortresscomicnews.com or at fortresscomics_ on Twitter. If you want to support the show, 5-star reviews on podcatchers, go to the YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment down below. And you can also go to patreon.com/fortresscomics. So that's everything we have for you this week. We'll see y'all here next week.